Happy New Year, everybody. Boy, 2021. Whew. So glad that is in the rearview mirror. I'm telling you, it's certainly 2021. I don't know about you, but for me, it certainly brought its challenges. And along with those challenges, though, are some really, really wonderful things that have taken place. I decided that I was going to learn a new skill, and so I decided I was going to learn hand magic. Hold on here. It's really hard to talk through this mask. Let me see what I can do to. Ooh, that's better. Oh my gosh. So, as I was saying, I decided, on top of deciding, I decided that there's a better way to deal with these stinking masks. They get pretty uncomfortable at times. You ever think that maybe they just don't fit right? So what if you were to take that loop that goes around your ears and there we go. And that way you can adjust it to the size that you need so that it fits correctly. Anyway, so what I was saying is I decided to start studying magic, and so what I'm going to do is I'd like to go through a couple of effects for you, and I hope you have a really good time. Hey, Happy New Year! When we last were together, Jeff King gave us a wonderful presentation from Coastal Community Bank. And as you're looking at your agendas now, you're probably thinking to yourself, holy cow, we've got an insurance guy who's stepping up and he's probably going to drone on and on about liability and give us some sort of PowerPoint talk. So it's interesting that you would think that, or at least interesting that I would think that you would think that. Anyway. So, if you know me, you probably know I'm a little bit on the creative side, and 2021 was a year of absolute challenges for me, and so I've had to make some changes. I've decided that it's important for me to leave the insurance industry altogether. And I absolutely still support John Hood and the Hood Insurance Agency and Nick Larson over there, providing employee benefits for you small business owners who really do need an inexpensive incentive to help you with employee retention. But John Hood is probably the most knowledgeable man I've ever met when it comes to insurance and your liability. But I've needed to make some changes, and I've switched over to working with Peter Harvey in Reef Comer's studio, and also working with Ralph Sanders. So it's important to it's important for me to live my most authentic life, and there's a reason that I got into insurance in the first place, and well, I'm much more healthy now, and Reef Commerce is where it's at. So, without any further ado, I'd like to get down to that PowerPoint presentation that we mentioned earlier. Woo! Here we go. Nope. Oh boy. Oh. Oh, huh? Oh, God. Whew. Oh, put it away. Put it away, put it away. Whew. Anyway, so I'm working with Peter over at Recomer Studios, and Carol Layton once said to me, Tony, you need to get more fun in your life, and I just love learning new things. So I thought I would learn, this is an important skill, to learn that you can pull a napkin, a handkerchief, as they say in the magic books. You can learn to pull a handkerchief just right out of thin air, just like that, over there. And I thought it would be awesome. This would be probably a great point to notice that, or to state that, this is it's important to notice that, when it comes to your insurance policy, intentional acts are not covered. And so, if you, well, just if it's an intentional act, oh my gosh, that feels kind of funny. Is that? Can you see the staple there? Is that blood? Oh. Okay. Anyway, so the nice thing about magic is that it doesn't necessarily leave a mark. At least that's what I'm hoping, anyways. So with that, what was I talking about? So for 30 years, I used to work in newspaper, and I was as a photojournalist. Here's a clip that I have from February 24th, 1995. This kid here, or these kids, are playing in a school band, and they're probably well, they were probably 10 then, and 1995. Well, you do the math. I'm a photographer now. Anyway, the crazy thing about living the life of a photographer, a news photographer, is you react when bad things happen in your community, and car wrecks, house fires, all of those bad things that you read about, and all of those things that you try and protect yourself against with or from whatever with insurance. And the sad part about working as a photographer is you're photographing all of this horrible stuff that's going on in the world, and then you can't really reach out and help or anything, because when things are just crumbling around people in their lives, well, you can't help them rebuild. You've got to go back to the newspaper and develop your film and write your captions and help tell their story. And unfortunately, this is about what people's lives would look like whenever I would leave to go back to the paper. And the nice thing about when I worked in insurance, what was nice is trying to help people rebuild those lives and help them be made whole again, with a couple wrinkles here and there. But it's important that we look out for each other, and that's what that was my intention with insurance. And it's good. I can now go back to making beautiful photographs of people in our community. Ed Baker bought a ticket to an Edmund kind of life when he bought a home in beautiful downtown Edmonds. He bought a home and he brought his vehicles, his cars with him, and he brought his family and opened a business. Who hasn't done all of that? Well, because relocating is so expensive, Ed thought, I should take my auto policy limits and I should just lower those down to state minimums just for a year, because what could happen? Not realizing he is exposing himself to more risk and the less payout of liability coverage. And when it comes to his business, Ed thought, I'd really like to get that full business owner's policy and not drop those coins on the table like that. But that's what I do, so I just pick it up again, and instead of getting the business owner's policy, Ed considered just going with just a general liability policy for only half as much. And just like that, Ed was on his way to being underinsured. Now, one of the Baker kids was soon to have a birthday, and so Ed was considered going out and getting him a brand new car. Woo! Hey, not realizing that a lot of new drivers, they wreck that first car within months of getting their license. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens frequently. And then lastly, there's a lot to think about with all of these coverages. And if you're not careful, a wrong decision could be made and just tarnish everything. And so Ed thought the best thing that he could do for himself would be to call up his agent, sit down, and have a conversation about what the best coverages are for him and his family, and so that he had all of his assets, his home, his family, everybody could be fully protected without him going broke after the big relocation. And and it was at that moment that Ed realized he had made a good decision, and just like that, he knew that it was all going to be okay. Because when you make one good decision like that, it affects all of the decisions down the line. And so, with that, Ed Baker, 527 Dayton, certainly will have an Edmonds kind of life. I'd like to tell you guys a story. It's something I refer to as insurance and the American dream. Consider this box to be your insurance policy. It's solid, metal, no holes in it. Got a good strong cover. No gimmicks, no trap doors, whatever. And it holds the things that are the most important to you. It could be your auto, your home, your life, all your family's life. Maybe you're a business owner. It's up to you. It's your version of the American dream. And for the rest of this story, I'd like for us to just take a moment and just consider what life would be like without insurance. From what I've noticed and what I've seen in my life, there would only be loss. And so I wonder why people choose to not have insurance or carry the appropriate insurance. Because from what I can see, without insurance, there is only loss. So, whether you have insurance or whether you don't have insurance, we all go through what I refer to as the growth phase of our life. it doesn't mean something that's just going to come easy to us as I illustrate this, but we go to work and we do that thing that we do and create, whatever out of thin air, it seems like. And and eventually we have enough so we can buy a car. We are able to go out, buy a house, start a life, and hopefully get a family or start a business. But in a world without insurance, that's probably not going to happen the way that you want it to, because in a world without insurance, a bad day can lead to a bad life, because in a world without insurance, there is only loss. And there's no guarantee that just because you've paid your dues once doesn't mean you don't have to pay your dues twice. There are people who have car wreck after car wreck after car wreck, and for them, there is truly only loss. The money, it just seems to would just slip through their hands. In a world without insurance, the one thing is certain, and that is there is only going to be loss. And when there is that loss, you have to start all over again and work your fingers to the bone to earn enough to buy yourself that car that was wrecked. And the second time around, oh my goodness, the elbow grease, it just seems to be extra heavy that next time around. And as you're working your fingers to the bone, you're dreaming of a time when things were so much better and easier, and they seem to come to you without so much effort. And you wish that maybe you would have had insurance. But you made your choice. And in a world without insurance, there is only loss. And now, if we want to consider a life with insurance, the story is going to be much happier. It's going to be much shorter, and definitely it's just going to have a happier ending. And that is because in a world with insurance, you remain whole, and you've always got all your stuff. Ta-da! So, if you were wanting to have a card trick, I'm terribly sorry. Since the amputation, I don't do too many card tricks because gravity, it gives me 52 opportunities to do the gravity shuffle. If you know what I'm saying. I also think that because I'm originally from Las Vegas, Nevada, cards are a symbol of gambling and luck to me. And for the past 5 years, I have been working in insurance. And so it's when your house is burning, you probably don't want to think about luck cards or anything like that. You probably want to have somebody who's thinking about your money working for you. So that is why I don't do too many cards.